The emergency broadcasts began less than 12 hours after the alien fleet entered Earth's orbit. At first, governments tried to contain the panic. News anchors spoke carefully, using words like unidentified vessels and ongoing diplomatic assessment, but the truth spread faster than censorship ever could. Every telescope on Earth could see them now, 47 massive warships hanging silently above the atmosphere like steel shadows against the stars. Cities stopped sleeping. Highways filled with traffic. Store shelves emptied within hours. Across every continent, billions of people stared upward, waiting to see whether the visitors in orbit would speak, attack, or simply continue watching in silence. Inside the underground command chamber beneath Geneva, leaders from nearly every major nation gathered around a circular table for the first unified military conference in human history. Old enemies sat side by side without argument. Flags that had represented centuries of conflict now meant almost nothing compared to the threat hanging over the planet. The room itself felt tense enough to break apart. Generals whispered to translators. Intelligence officers shuffled reports across glowing screens. Satellite images rotated slowly above the center of the chamber, showing the alien fleet positioned over Earth like predators surrounding prey. President Elaine Mercer of the North American Coalition leaned forward first. "Can we fight them?" No one answered immediately. Finally, Admiral Hideki Sato of the Pacific Defense Network spoke in a low voice. "Not directly. Their ships are beyond anything we possess. Energy output alone exceeds our entire orbital infrastructure." A silence followed that statement, not fear exactly, something colder. The realization that humanity, for all its wars and technology and pride, might still be hopelessly primitive compared to what waited above the clouds. Then a scientist near the far end of the chamber cleared his throat. Dr. Ibrahim Malik had dark circles under his eyes and looked as though he had not slept in days. He activated a holographic display showing the seismic disturbances caused by the alien bombardment. "They weren't random strikes," he said. "The pulses targeted mineral-rich regions. This wasn't an invasion at first. It was a survey mission." "Meaning?" someone asked. "Meaning they don't see us as equals," Malik replied quietly. "They see us as wildlife standing on useful land." That changed the atmosphere instantly. Fear became anger. For thousands of years humanity had fought itself over borders, religion, resources, and ideology. Nations had risen and collapsed. Entire civilizations had burned. Yet beneath all of it was one ancient instinct older than politics itself, the instinct to defend home. And now home had an enemy. Within hours, military commands across Earth merged into a single emergency alliance. Nuclear submarines received launch authorization codes. Aircraft carriers repositioned into defensive formations. Secret satellite weapons hidden by rival governments were suddenly revealed and shared openly. Even nations that had spent decades threatening each other began exchanging intelligence in real time. The old world order dissolved almost overnight. Far above the planet, Commander Verkelos observed all of this from the bridge of his flagship with growing amusement. "They're mobilizing," one officer reported. "Primitive reflex," Verkelos answered calmly. "They know resistance is useless, but instinct compels them to posture." The bridge crew emitted quiet sounds of agreement. Only Pell, the science officer, remained silent. She had continued reading the ancient archive files in secret. The records were fragmented, written by civilizations so old their names no longer existed anywhere else in the galaxy. But every account described humanity in the same language. Not conquerors. Not monsters. Worse. Survivors. That single word appeared over and over again. Pell's hands trembled slightly as she reopened the final section of the archive. The text was partially corrupted, but one sentence remained intact. "If humanity unites under external threat conditions, extinction probability for opposing force exceeds 99%. She stared at the line for several seconds. Then another alarm sounded across the flagship. An officer turned sharply toward his console. "Commander, we are detecting launches from the planet." Verkelos looked toward the tactical display. Hundreds of objects were rising from Earth's surface. Missiles. Thousands of them. From deserts, forests, oceans, mountains, hidden silos, submarines beneath polar ice, mobile launch platforms buried beneath cities, humanity had unleashed everything at once. Trails of fire climbed upward through the atmosphere like glowing spears aimed at the heavens. The commander tilted his head slightly. "Interesting." The alien fleet responded instantly. Defensive fields ignited around the warships in shimmering blue waves. Human missiles exploded harmlessly against invisible barriers, lighting space with bursts of fire that could be seen from Earth below. To the Dominion fleet, the attack was insignificant. But humanity had not launched the missiles to win. They launched them to send a message. Every transmission frequency across Earth activated simultaneously. Military stations, civilian networks, abandoned Cold War arrays, even old analog radio towers joined together into one planet-wide signal directed at the fleet. A single sentence repeated in hundreds of languages. "This world is defended." For the first time since entering the system, Commander Verkelos stopped smiling, because there was something in the human voices he recognized immediately. Not desperation. Not surrender. Defiance.